So there's this psychologist at Harvard University who's been studying this idea that he calls prevalence-induced concept change. This is essentially a fancy term for the idea of problem creep or comfort creep. And it's this idea that as we experience fewer problems, we don't actually become more satisfied. We just lower the threshold for what we consider to be a problem. And that is what this book is all about, the comfort crisis. It's about how lowering this threshold to the level that we have in our modern society is completely ruining us as people and making us completely unable to deal with any actual problems in real life, because our threshold has been so lowered that what we consider a problem is not actually a problem. And then when we deal with things that actually are legitimate problems, we have no resilience built up and no ability to handle anything uncomfortable and being outside of our little comfort bubbles for longer than like 10 seconds. And so Micheal wrote this book in order to try to understand, and he's kind of documenting his journey through this kind of new understanding of comfort and what comfort does to us in a negative sense, and all the positive benefits that come from being uncomfortable. And so this book is excellent. I picked it up on my way to go down to a hog hunt in Texas, which I knew was going to be incredibly uncomfortable. I'd done it once before, and there's spiders and snakes and scorpions and alligators, and it's 110 degrees, and it's just miserable and terrible. And so I was like, I need something to kind of encourage me and get me pumped up to go go to this hunt. And this book was perfect. This book was absolutely perfect. Having grown up a country boy and hunting my whole life and in the woods, and growing up in a big family with not a lot of money, there was a lot of this stuff that was stuff that I know but have forgotten. But even if you grew up like very, what I would term citified, and just aren't even at all used to being outside of your comfort zone, this is a great book to pick up, because it's going to explain to you why this is so important, why you have to intentionally build times and spaces and events in your life that make you uncomfortable, because if you don't, you just become this pathetic little shell of a human who's not capable of anything. And especially when you look at men and how we are supposed to be and the things that we're supposed to be able to handle, modern manhood has become this thing that is just this vapor and shell of what it should be, as far as the resilience that men have to deal with actual problems. And the things that we think are problems are just not. They're just not. They're that prevalence-induced concept change, right? They're these things that previous generations would never have considered to be an actual problem, and we think that it's just the end of the world. And this idea of first world problems really is a very, very intense thing and a very real thing. But the only way that you realize what first world problems are is if you put yourself in a position where you experience something other than first world problems. So when you're out in the backcountry hunting, like what Micheal did was a 40-day backcountry caribou hunt, and it's like when you're out there and you're having to figure out shelter and and how to rearrange your teepee in the midst of a crazy winter storm that's about to blow it away, that becomes a real problem. And that becomes something that you're testing yourself against nature, and you're testing yourself in a test that actually matters and that has real consequences. And the deal of it is that mentally, even though we have this prevalence-induced concept change, and we think that things are problems that aren't really problems, what you'll find is that subconsciously your mind knows. Like, your mind knows that what I'm dealing with is not an actual problem. And so even when I conquer it, or even if I do a hard thing, and it's like, oh, like I'm better, like your mind knows, and your mind isn't proud of you. Your subconscious is not like, oh yeah, I'm better for that, and I'm like, I have more confidence in myself now. It's just like, oh, whoopee, I succeeded in this thing that was not even really a challenge to anyone. And so you have to go and put yourself in these kind of situations, and you have to find ways to build being uncomfortable into your life. And so This book, like I say, is awesome. I highly recommend it. Whether you just need like kind of a boost to remind you of what you already know, or whether you're totally new to this whole thing and want to learn some of the research and kind of be convinced about the benefits of getting uncomfortable. The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter is an excellent book. I highly recommend it to anybody out there. So give me a shout out in the comments if you've read it, or if you want to read it, let me know. And if you have any other books like this, I love books like this. I love books that are encouraging me to go, whoops, sorry about that, to go just become better, do hard things and become better. Like that's really all I want to do. So yeah, hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next one.